Is sewing too expensive? Is it becoming too expensive? That is what we are talking about in this live edition of the Sewing Report. I'm Jennifer Moore. Welcome. We help you discover your love of sewing. And a few shows ago, I got a couple comments from some of our younger sewing enthusiasts basically stating that they feel sewing as a hobby is pretty cost prohibitive to get into. The cost of fabric, sewing machines, all the notions you need patterns, and I got a lot of people saying, hey, we would love to sew, but we just don't have the money for it, and it's very expensive. So in this show, we're going to talk about that. We're going to break down some of the costs that you run into when you start off sewing. Also, let's share some tips. I'm sharing a few in the description box if you'd like to check those out. I just shared a few of my thoughts on, how I've been able to make my sewing hobby a little less expensive, and also how I like to help out other people who are starting out. So let's chat. I'm Jennifer Moore, and here we go, everybody. And hopefully my OBS software is, it's been a little glitchy, so if there's any problems with this whole thing, I apologize, but I'm doing the best I can here. So hope you're having a good Sunday. I've been having a pretty busy weekend so far. We're doing a lot around the house. And it's been a little stressful, but you know what? I'm getting through it. And sadly, I have not done any sewing in the past couple weeks, which really, really bums me out. So let's get started. I will pop up the chat window shortly. We've got a few people watching already, and I posted. So to advertise this show, I always post on Facebook and on Instagram beforehand. And already I've gotten quite a few good thoughts and comments just about this whole issue about sewing and the cost of it, and just the price of everything. It can be a little expensive, and I know for those of us who want to encourage other people to get into sewing, that can be a little bit frustrating. When I talk to people I know who don't sew, they think $100 is expensive for a sewing machine. So even though we kind of know the prices of stuff and how much everything costs, there seems to be a large number of people out there that don't know the true cost of all these things, like sewing machines. And that's the thing, you don't want someone to buy a sewing machine that they don't like and that doesn't work very well, but often the ones that are, very, very cheap, like the $50 ones, sometimes they're not always the easiest to use. So also in the comments, if you're watching this live or afterwards, if you have found a good sewing machine under $100, let everybody know what model that is and why you like it, because I think that's something that we can do to try to help, new and younger sewists, is by sharing some, if we have a good model that we found that's very budget friendly, don't hide that information. Feel free to share it with everybody else. And I do want to share first, I want to share the poll results from last week. So last week we talked about, hold on a second. We talked about, do you follow the latest sewing trends? Yes, okay, so last week we talked about sewing trends. Okay, sorry, hold on a second. All right, my OBS, okay. And I wanted to share the poll results. So 22 of you voted, and basically it's like, do you follow the latest sewing trends? 14 of you, or 63%, said depends on the trend. So not a clear yes or no. 7 of you, or 31%, said no, just straight up no. And only 1 of you, 4%, said yes. So I really like doing these poll questions. I think it really gives us a good sense of kind of where everybody's at. So I have another poll question. If you click on the little eye up in the top right hand corner, you can get to the poll question. And today's poll question is, do you think sewing is expensive? Because everybody has different opinions, and I get asked a lot if sewing is cheaper than buying something, and I find often it's not, which is, obviously not much of an incentive for people to sew if it's cheaper to buy. But, as some of you have mentioned, we don't really sew for just the cost savings. We sew for the enjoyment, the entertainment, the learning process, and also to get a higher quality item than you would buy in a store. And someone even mentioned, I think it was on Instagram. Let me grab, okay, sorry, and if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, definitely do that. I'm at Sewing Report. And there have been a lot of really great comments already just on this one little thing I posted. Sorry. I'm trying to get it close to, okay, the light is making it hard. But let me read some of the comments. So, let's see here. Okay, so Frayed Seams says, if you have a local chapter of the American Sewing Guild near you, go to their meetings. Our chapter has several free tables at every meeting with lots of free stuff. And someone else commented, that she was new. Kita, K-I-T-A Sews. I was fortunate enough to stumble upon someone that helped them save a lot of money. She helped me focus on what I needed to get started, how to save, and what to invest in as a beginner. Then I got connected to Instagram and YouTube. And also, I got another comment from a blogger and pattern company that I really like called Clover and Violet, at Clover and Violet. And she was saying that I was helping a newbie last night who had bought a sewing machine from someone else, which turned out to be terrible and broken, which is not cool. So if you're trying to sell someone a busted sewing machine, that's just straight up mean. I mean, I know sometimes you might not know, or if you're if someone that doesn't sew is selling like their mom's sewing machine, they don't know anything about it. But if you know your sewing machine's busted, don't try to rip somebody off. That's just not cool. Turned out to be terrible and broken, but she didn't know that, and it turned out to be a waste of money. But then she didn't know where to look for an affordable model that would sew well. And that's the thing. Not only do we want to encourage beginners to get a sewing machine that's inexpensive, but a sewing machine that actually can sew. One that's not super hard to use, one that, is a decent enough quality where they're not going to be frustrated using it. And I think that's kind of a bummer because I haven't personally been able to find a lot of models out there that seem to fit that bill. I think there's a lot of them between the $100 and $200 mark, but as I mentioned, a lot of the people I know think $100 is $100 is a really expensive sewing machine, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. So let me pop up the chat window and let's get some of your thoughts. Okay, OBS seems to be like slightly less glitchy. Okay, and it hasn't been freezing as much, so maybe that's a good sign. I don't know. Okay, we've got a few comments. Josie, very expensive, especially when I haven't started a project yet. Joss Wade says, fabric for me is super high and quality isn't good if you are new to buying fabric offline. Okay, Champagne Twist, it's a very good point that the price of sewing machines are very high and prohibitive. However, when an iPhone costs 600 plus pounds, maybe we should encourage young people to trade off a cheaper phone for a hobby. I can't agree with you more. Champagne Twist, and to everyone watching, thank you so much. I see people are from Mississippi, Philadelphia, London, so hopefully this is a good time zone for everybody so it's not too late or too early. But that's a good point. I mean, people are paying $1,000 for the iPhone X, and again, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm going to get the phone on payments, and I know a lot of sewing machine dealers do offer financing. I know I've mentioned this before. I don't really like the idea of financing or going into debt to buy what's essentially a toy. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to you if you're going that route. I would more recommend getting a sewing machine that you can afford, buy the best that you can afford, and then save up for a better machine. But if you don't have the cash for it, like the outright cash, I in good conscience can't tell you to go a few $1,000s into debt for a sewing machine. Especially when you don't know what your life situation will be like. What happens if you lose your job or you're no longer in a position to afford those payments. I think just because you can afford the payments on something does not mean that you should be buying said item. So even though a lot of sewing machine dealers offer financing, here on the Sewing Report, I will that's just not something I'm going to recommend to you because I personally don't feel like it's financially wise decision. Okay, and we've got a recommendation for a budget sewing machine. Okay, Josie says, I got my brother CE 5500 PRW. Okay, I think that means Project Runway model from Walmart on sale for $99. I believe I've seen that one. That does have really good reviews. I used to have an entry-level brother that's linked below. I believe that I had the SE 400. That was a little bit pricier. That was $400, but I think now the price has dropped to $300. That is a good machine. I think the Brother entry-level line machines are good for the price, definitely. Has anyone, and I personally haven't tried any of the newer Singers. If you've tried some, but I've seen some of the reviews for them and they seem pretty positive, especially for that heavy duty one I saw. So if you have if you have a recommendation for a sewing machine under $100, or around $100, let us know. Also, if you've gotten a great deal on a sewing machine, feel free to share that. I would personally say, like, if you're looking for a higher quality machine and it's a little out of your price range, check Craigslist, check all those online forums, and also go to garage sales, go to estate sales. You never know what you're going to find. A blogger friend of mine, Hello Allie J, or Allie M. Jackson, she had a great blog post a while back about buying a Bernina at like a junior league sale for $40, and it was in the box and came with all the accessories. So especially when you see a lot of people, younger people, selling things that their grandmother had or their mom had, they don't always know what they've got. So you never know what you're going to find. So I think, yeah, definitely getting like a gently used sewing machine or a really good one that someone's unloading, I think is a great way to get your hands on a higher quality machine and not paying, not losing your shirt over it, basically. All right, so we got a couple more comments. Oh, okay, Beth, yesterday I was involved with a community quilting event and an older woman was sewing with a bright green Janome Hello Kitty machine. Oh, I love Hello Kitty. Lightweight, has great reviews, and performs beautifully. I think I know which model you're talking about, and it does look super cute, and they're lightweight. I think they definitely are geared, I think they seem to be geared towards children, but I think why not? Plus it has Hello Kitty on it, so you can't go wrong with that. All right, okay, Omai says, I've seen the Hello Kitty machine on Amazon. It's about $124. And I think they have a few different models of, like, I've seen Hello Kitty in a few different models. So if you're into HK, Janome is where it's at. And we've got Pico Stitch. I shop at a discount store where fabric is $1 to $3 a yard. I get a lot of my patterns through McCall's for sales for $2 each. That's another way to get great patterns and to really build up your stash is to look at the sales on the McCall's website. The Butterick, Quick Sew, McCall's, and Vogue patterns are on sale all the time. So keep checking back because they're very, very inexpensive. Especially, I've gotten multiple copies of the same pattern just so I don't have to worry about like tracing it. I can just cut it out and not really worry about it. All right, I got a brother first, but we'll probably use a Janome. Got my current machine used on eBay for about $130, and it works great, but it's touch and go, buy and use. That's so true. Bath refurbished sewing machines usually carry a great warranty and are cost effective. Very true. Okay, Howard has a good one, and I think, Howard, is this that heavy duty one? The Janome HD 1000 for about $300 has the best features for garment construction and it's quality built. Howard, that's a good recommendation. And Howard, is there a guy in here? We have like a lone dude in here right now. And Jason, okay. We've got two, okay, all right, to all the ladies watching, we have two guys in our midst, so let's welcome Howard and Jason from Pink Castle Fabrics. And if anyone has any question about Janome sewing machines, Jason is with Pink Castle Fabrics in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they are a Janome retailer, so he knows all about Janome machines. And also he can hook you up with one if you are looking today. They sell machines online and they also have wonderful customer service and expertise with sewing machines. And Jason even has a few YouTube videos on the Pink Castle Fabrics YouTube channel where he demonstrates some sewing techniques. So yeah, Jason, hit him up if you need any help with Janome. He knows a lot about that manufacturer and also about fabric in general. And yes, he's joined our show quite a bit. All right, we've got I've heard a lot about the HD 1000 as well, and I'm very curious to try it out. Obviously, I know it's a little bit hard to test for me to like review a bunch of sewing machines because that would mean I'd have to buy a bunch of sewing machines. But I at least try to review the ones I have. I personally have used Janome, Brother. I have a Vintage Singer, and I've also used the Eversewn line, which is kind of an offshoot of the Bernina brand. I think the Eversewn line is also a great line for beginners. They have a few different price ranges, and the cheapest machine is $130. And all that is linked in the description box if you're interested in that. Definitely check out the Eversewn machines. I think they are a great value. You can get sort of the Bernina type quality, but just at a much, much lower price. And they have a couple of machines that are computerized and a couple that are not computerized. We've got, okay, TD or Tiffany, right? I think the best machine is whichever machine you invest in. Sewing should be about the love and passion of creating, not how much money you have to spend on materials. It's a personal thing. That's so true. So if you have some... Okay, we've got Alexis. Hello from Dallas. I'm the user. I am just Dawn, who commented on Instagram. Oh, yes, I saw your comment, Alexis. Thank you so much. I have the Brother LX2673. It was $69 from Walmart and well worth it. I have an old school machine a woman gave me as well. So Alexis, yeah, tell us more about the Brother. $69 is a great price, and I like that at least it is sold at Walmart, so it's very accessible for people to buy probably online or at the store. But I do think the Brother entry-level line machines are very good for the price, and that you can kind of grow into the machines. I used the Brother for about a year before I kind of upgraded, but in hindsight, I feel like I upgraded too soon. I think I should have waited, and I actually think I should have bought a less expensive machine, but you know what? Hindsight's 2020. Champagne Twist Butterick has produced their first sewing machine, and it's currently on sale for about 240 pounds. The RRP is 600 pounds. I have not tried it myself, but it looks good on all accounts. Tiffany, my machine was $300 about 3 years ago, but I love it. It's a Singer. And Tiffany, tell us more why you like the Singer. I've heard hit or miss things about the newer Singers, but when I look on Amazon, they get good reviews. So I personally have not tried them, but I'm very curious about them. Just because obviously they're selling a lot of them, and I don't know. Okay, dude number 3. Wow, we've got 3. Okay, sorry, my voice is like going like all like, I don't know, I sound like I'm going through puberty, but whatever. We got, is it Mikael Hermanson? Dude number 3 is here from Brighton in the UK. Wow. Okay, so we've actually got three guys here. Okay, this is awesome. So yes, and if you are also a guy watching, don't be a lurker. Let us know you're here. And, let us know why you decided to join today's edition of the Sewing Report, where we're talking about the cost of sewing. But I think a lot of the people that have commented about the price, they were obviously younger people, and I can see where they're coming from. So I started sewing after I had been working for several years. I come from a dual income, no kids household, so my household has had a little bit more disposable income than, other people might. So for me to get into sewing, it was less of a challenge than someone that might be like between 16 and 22 in school. Maybe you're just trying to buy books and live in your dorm room, and you don't even have $100 for a sewing machine. And then you look at the fabric prices, and sometimes they can be a little bit high depending on what you're looking for. So to those people, I definitely hear you. And in fact, if I was 18 to 20, I think it would have been challenging for me to get into sewing as well, just because you just don't have any disposable income. So you really are looking to, just cut costs wherever you can and try to save money and do everything on a budget. So if that's you, let us know, and let us know what are your challenges, and also, have you found any creative solutions for how to still pursue your love of sewing, even if your wallet's a little bit tight right now. And that's the thing, everybody's been at that point in their lives. So, I definitely understand. And one viewer, her name is Liz, she actually had some good thoughts. She's like, what, when I see a lot of these bloggers using really expensive machines, she's like, it just sort of is off-putting. Just because, so it would be kind of nice, I think, for bloggers and vloggers here on YouTube to use, I think, use budget machines more and highlight those, and also do more posts, more videos about how to save money sewing, how to source, how to get better deals on fabric. I really only buy fabric if it's on sale. If it's full price, I just usually wait till it's on sale, or I don't usually buy it. So I usually try to get my fabrics at least 40% off, and those sales are quite frequent on different sites. I do fabric.com a lot. Also, fabric.com has some deals where if you buy like a certain amount of yardage, the price actually, you get a significant discount if you get, 4 yards or more. So you might get 30 or 40% off depending on the fabric. I do that. Of course, I use my online and in-person coupons at like JOANN's and Hobby Lobby. Also, I recently did a kind of a haul / review of Fashion Fabrics Club. Also a good place for discount, you know, to get a really good deal on discounted designer fabric. And then there's also, I think, the non-traditional sourcing for fabric. You know, use your old sheets as muslins. You know, you'll find clear, you know, I did one where I went to Target and got some clearance bed sheets to use as fabric. So just, you know, sometimes if you think out of the box a little bit, there's lots of things you can use as fabric that don't cost a lot of money and can help you get to where you want to go. A while back, I even remember reading this lady, this blogger, I can't remember. Oh, her blog is A View Along the Way. She doesn't really sew, but she had made a closet, like jewelry drawer in her. She made a jewelry drawer in her custom closet, and she wanted to line it with velvet. So she actually went to Goodwill and got a black velvet dress and cut that up and used that to line it. So sometimes you can find your fabric in some more unconventional ways, depending on how you want to do it. So there's a lot of things you can do to, I think, save money. Also, like that lady was commenting, you can go to, you know, sewing events or sewing guilds, and maybe someone's getting rid of fabric, or maybe you, even when I was starting out sewing, a lot of people would be like, oh, you're starting to sew, I'm going to give you some scrap fabric. So I've actually gotten quite a few fabric just by people hearing I sew and then giving me fabric. And then I've actually been able to pay it forward. So if I hear someone is starting to sew, like my coworker said she had a 6-year-old niece that was really getting into sewing, so I brought her a bag of like some bigger scraps and some, you know, fabric with some fun kid prints, and just gave it to her just because, you know, I have a lot of extra fabric, and sometimes you just want to encourage someone else to do it as well because you love it so much. All right, lots of comments here. Okay, all right, we got a lot of thrifters here. That's awesome. Okay, I used to go to thrift stores when they had stuff a bag day. I picked clothing for the fabric, the buttons. And here's another thing. I recently did this on some of my old clothes. If you're looking for buttons or notions, go to Goodwill or look through your own closet. And if there's like a shirt you want to get rid of, but it has great buttons, save the buttons, you know, save the fabric. So there's a lot of stuff you can kind of salvage and turn into something else. You know, the whole upcycling or refashioning movement is becoming very popular, and I would like to make some videos about that. I just haven't had the time, but hopefully in the future I will, because that's something I really want to do, is do some repurposing type videos or showing you how to turn, you know, a men's shirt. I know they're all over the place, but I haven't really tried it myself, and I'm curious to do it. But that's another thing, is that you really can just find fabric in just non-conventional ways, and I think that's definitely very possible. We've got a couple more comments. We've got Alex. I've got 4 machines in Elna, Brother JS 1478, Brother NV 2600, and an overlocker. All right, and we got Pico Stitch. I got my Brother LS 2000 for $75. It only does straight and zigzag, but it has been a good beginner machine for me. I don't think they make this machine anymore. Oh no, well maybe people can find it used. That would be awesome. Like check eBay, check Craigslist. Does anyone know where to find a walking foot that isn't $30? You know, that's a good question. And I know you can find some like off-brand walking feet. I bought one once that was offline, but it broke. So honestly, I don't know if I would recommend like going for like the super cheap, no-name walking foot. The one I had, I was using with my vintage singer, and it just totally crapped out on me. So I don't know if I would recommend that one, but the walking foot I have one for the Eversone that I bought that's made by Eversone, and that one was actually $35 for several feet. So I felt that was a pretty good deal. It came with a 1/4-inch foot, it came with a piecing foot, and it came with some sort of free motioning foot. So I felt for $35, I thought that was a pretty good price. All right, Alexis Fabric Mart Fabrics is a great place to get fabric discounted. They always have sales. Sandra, I live on an island off of the Azores and wow, we've got some really exotic folks in here today. I feel so boring now. Yeah, I feel really, you guys are so much more exciting than me, apparently. Sewing here is expensive. I sew really for the love of it. I did buy my new machine on a site called Shopti. It was really much cheaper. I've not heard of Shopti. Does it service a lot of different countries? That sounds pretty cool. Linda, I've heard of sewing groups having swap meets. You bring in stuff you aren't going to use and swap it for somebody else's fabric. And I think that's a good idea. Or if you have friends that sew, get together and trade things. I also have a lot of notions where, like for a while back, I bought all this like 1-inch, like cotton webbing. And I haven't used hardly any of it, but I have like 30 different pieces in different colors. And I would certainly be willing to like give that away or like swap it for something else just because I have so much of that stuff and I haven't even come close to using it. All right, Pico Stitch. I have an off-brand walking foot and a Singer brand one I bought from Amazon. The off-brand was $12 and the Singer was $22. I don't notice a big difference, but haven't used them long term. And Pico Stitch, I did have an off-brand one and it worked for maybe a few months. And then it just suddenly like just totally crapped out. So I ended up having to throw it out, which is sad. So I don't know long term, but again, everyone's experience is different. So if you don't want to spend the money, you can try the off-brand. I've had varying degrees of success with off-brand sewing products like that, like feet and whatnot. I try to buy the one that is made for that machine. Like I've tried off-brand bobbins, or I've tried using bobbins in machines that it wasn't meant for, and it personally didn't really work out very well for me. But you never know. We've got Tiffany. We got Chantel. Mine works like a charm. Most of my sisters at church have Singers, and we make some beautiful garments. Okay, so that's good to know. So maybe, definitely consider the Singers. I personally would look at reviews, and someone, I believe it was on Instagram or Facebook, said, look for used machines, but look for machines that have really reliable, consistent, good reviews. And I think that's where Clover and Violet was talking about, like the person she knew that bought a sewing machine just didn't know what they were buying. And I think that's a problem for people who are new, is that you just don't know what to look for. You don't know what type of machine to buy or what machine is good, which one is not as good. So sometimes you can waste money just by not knowing what your needs are and, how to look for the varying levels of quality. I think another thing we can do to save money is obviously only buy for the projects you have at hand. I've been guilty of not doing that, and now I have all this fabric that I have not used that I need to use. So, over time it can become an expensive, it can definitely become a great expense, especially if you don't use the stuff. So I'm really trying to get to the point where I'm using what I'm buying rather than just buying stuff for the sake of having it. I know some of you might not go that route, and that's totally fine. But just the longer I've been doing this, the more I don't really want stuff in my house that I'm not using. I don't know if I'm going to use, and it just sits there. And then I've spent all this money on it. So I'm really trying to go in the other direction now, which is hard, especially since I have a sewing YouTube channel and want to show new stuff all the time. But, there's, at the same time, I also don't really want to promote this whole movement of excess, because I don't know, it's just not something it's just not something I feel good about, I guess. So got a couple more comments. Check out eBay for used major brand walking foot. That's a good advice. Josie, I'm working on my first quilt top, and I'm not sure if I'm going to love the process, so I don't want to spend too much money. Josie, that's a fair assessment. My walking foot actually is made for my machine. I have a Janome 7700, which is my main like quilting machine, and it has like an AccuFeed foot for it. I love it. Obviously it's a fairly pricey feature, and the feet, like, I actually chipped off a plastic piece of the foot, and a new foot was like $35, $40. Or maybe it was more than that. I don't remember. But, then I ended up being able to super glue the piece back on, so I'm actually still using the original foot, but I now keep the other foot as like a backup. So I guess I didn't, again, that was just me wasting money. I should have thought about super gluing it on before, but I didn't, I don't know. So we'll see. Alexis, that person did say it was location specific, and I checked out their memberships, and they are, $50. Okay, for the American Sewing Guild, yes. And, so yeah, I would say, and definitely if you're involved in some sort of sewing group or sewing guild or quilting guild, that might be something you could do with your organization, or if you have several friends that sew, you can get together. I don't have a lot of friends that sew, so it's a little bit hard. But also, you know, if you have some other advice for people on, you know, if you're just getting started, you know, feel free to share that. Don't be shy. If, you know, anything you found that saves money. I think another thing if I was independently wealthy and just had endless amounts of cash, I would actually, I don't know if we could do this on a larger scale, but I would kind of gift people who are interested in sewing just all the stuff they need to get started, like a beginner sewing machine, some fabric, some notions, because I feel like if people try it, they're gonna love it, but they need to have have access to the materials to be able to discover their love of sewing. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario, but I do wish maybe, like, honestly, if you're to the sewing manufacturers, I don't know why you're not doing that with schools, with children, with like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, because, you know, overall, I think the goal is to bring new people into the community, and you can do that with children. Obviously, a lot of people are into sewing camps and sewing classes. So I think if you are a sewing manufacturer, obviously they've got more of a marketing budget, so maybe that's something they could do, is to donate machines, or maybe even hold, you know, I know a lot of sewing machine dealers already host like sewing camps, but I only see those being good for the future of sewing, and I would love to see more of that sort of thing happening. Also, maybe the manufacturers could donate machines to people that volunteer to run some sort of sewing camps for kids, or even for adults, just to get more people in the door doing it. Like, I think that's the challenge, and I think that's where we can make a difference, is just having more of these. Sort of like, I guess I see the model being like the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. So basically, Dave Ramsey gives like free or very discounted teaching kits to churches and to individuals who want to lead Financial Peace University. So these people volunteer their time and they get all the teaching materials. I almost think the sewing industry could do something similar where, you know, the big manufacturers, the sewing companies, do things where, you know, if someone wants to help teach new people how to sew, you know, how to use a sewing machine, or help teach kids, that we have more of that sort of outreach to have people learn, because the more people who learn how to sew, the more lifelong sewing enthusiasts you create. And that's only good for business. So if you have any other thoughts on that sort of thing, let me know, because that's something I've been kind of thinking about, and I do think that would make a difference for people just to get into sewing. All right, we got a couple more comments. Linda, I go through my stash once a year and get rid of stuff I've outgrown at a garage sale. I get a lot of people coming to the sale just for fabric. That's wonderful. And I'm also destashing my fabric, so if you're looking, check me out on Instagram. It's at Sewing Report Shop. I haven't posted anything in a while. I also have a bunch of stuff I need to destash that I haven't gotten around to listing yet, so keep an eye out if you're stateside. All right, Alexis, another place to check is the more local fabric stores. Sometimes they have their own clubs and meets. If you're in one, you can get discounts. Oh, I like that. Thank you very much, Alexis. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get some water real quick here. Whew! All right. We're going to keep plugging away, though. All right, it is 3:30. Oh, and if you haven't participated in this week's poll question, please do so. I would love it if you could participate. If you see the little eye up in the top right-hand corner, you click on that, and then you can take the poll question. Is sewing becoming too expensive for beginners? Yes or no? Let me know. And also, if you want to comment on that, feel free to leave a comment while you're watching it live, or if you're watching it afterwards. I'm just sharing your thoughts on this whole situation. Oh, another thing I do want to share, not to enable you further, but I saw something at like 1 in the morning today, and this is something I do really want to share with you. If you're looking for a good deal on some new sewing patterns, all right. Oh, and let me read a couple more. Okay, Champagne Twist, one of the major problems, the big 4 pattern companies are owned by the same organization, so the prices are fixed. Sewing machine companies, similar situation. That's very true. All right, all right. If this software will work with me, I've got something else to show you. Okay, so I found this like last night at like 1:30, and I was like, I've got to incorporate this into the show. because I think these are super cool. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've been following this gal for some time. Her name is Sarah Lawson, and her website is sewists.com. And she's just a really cool, down-to-earth blogger and pattern designer, and she's designed fabrics. And so Sarah and I first got to know her, I started following her blog, and I bought a couple of her patterns. The patterns are great. They're really fun, and Sarah has gotten into making video tutorials that come with her patterns. Like, you can buy, like, the pattern alone, or you could buy the pattern with the video tutorial. So basically, you're getting video instruction along with the patterns. So Sarah, I don't know, Sarah, if you are watching this, I don't know how you have time for all this, but Sarah has designed 12 bag and accessory patterns and released them all at once. Not one, 12. So she's calling this series Minikins, and basically I think they're patterns that are like 15 steps or less. So all these patterns are meant to be very more quick and easy sews. A lot of these look very beginner friendly. And also, with these indie pattern designers like Sew Sweetness, you can sell these on a small scale. So if you wanted to make these for craft shows or give them as gifts or, sell them online, Sew Sweetness is totally cool with that. And in fact, she encourages it. I love her fabric choices. I think that these designs look really cute, and I'm very tempted. So Sarah has these 12 patterns available on her website, and I've linked it below in the description box if you're interested. So you can get all 12 patterns and 12 video classes for $80. So normally her patterns are between like $6 and $10. But right now you can actually get all 12 patterns. So you get the 12 patterns at once, and then you get the video classes she's releasing once a month. Actually, she and I have talked a little bit about video production, and we've shared some of our technical gear and that sort of thing. Sarah's super cool. I love this girl. So if you want to check out our Minikins and you're looking for some new patterns to do like gifts, or again, you're trying to sell these to friends and family or to craft show, I think these patterns are super cute. And I'm very tempted to get this bundle. It's for a limited time only. You can get all 12 sewing patterns, 12 different sewing patterns. She's also designed these to be fairly light on the notions. So a few of them you have to have zippers or some other things, but you're not going to need a ton of hardware or a ton of different notions to complete these projects. Some of them require a very little amount of fabric, so these are great scrap busters if you have fat quarters. I think these patterns look super cute. The one in particular I like, she's got this drawstring bag that's like for toiletries. That looks super cute. And she also has some really cool looking zipper pouches. She's got one that has like a double zipper. She's got a little lunch bag in there. So if you're looking to pick up if you're into bag making or if you're into making accessories, I think this is just super. I think this bundle is a really good deal. She also has a notions kit, so she includes notions to make every single one of these bags and accessories in one kit for $22, which is a great deal. So I've linked this product below in the description box, and if you're looking for some really cute things to sew for the holidays, for gifts, or if you are trying to get into some sort of craft fair or craft show and sell your wares, definitely check out Sew Sweetness. This price is a limited time only. I think the regular price is $120, which is still a good deal. So when you think about it, you're not only getting the patterns, but you're also getting 12 classes. So, think about it, like you pay $19.99 for one Craftsy class to make one thing, and she's offering you 12 video classes and 12 patterns for $80. So that's under 10, that's like what, about like $8 per pattern and video class. It's a really good deal, and if you're a visual learner and you like video instruction, this is great. Also, Sarah goes live a few times a week on Facebook and YouTube as well. So she and I are both into this live thing, but I've gotten to know her a little bit. She's a great gal, and she makes fantastic patterns that are easy to follow, and a lot of them are very beginner friendly. So if you're looking to get into bag making, definitely this is something to check out. Sorry for the plug, but I saw this last night and I was like, I need to share this because this is a really awesome thing she's doing. I don't think I've ever seen a pattern designer release 12 patterns at once, all in a bundle like that. I think the only other one I've seen is Swoon Patterns, another bag pattern pattern company I follow. She did like a vintage bag of the month, like bag thing, and she released a pattern every month for a while, every couple months. But she didn't release all the patterns at once. So I think that's really cool, and definitely if you're looking for a lot of really fun, pretty quick patterns, I think that looks like a really amazing deal. I'm very tempted to get it myself, so you never know. Again, this whole cutting back thing, I don't know if I can do it, but I don't know, those things, that pattern bundle just looks so tempting. All right, we got a couple more comments. Where indie pattern makers have made a small impact, the same can't be said for machine manufacturers, and of course, machines are the key component to home sewing. Exactly. If you can't get machines into the hands of people, how are you going to get them to buy fabric and patterns if they don't sew? So the first thing they need to get is a sewing machine. Josie, I'm naturally crafty, and now that I have children, I want them to have creative outlets as well. So they've been pressing the sewing pedal for now. Yay! And Pico Stitch, does anyone here have experience with sewing pattern subscription services like Colette, Sew Over It, PDF Club, or Wear Lemonade worth the money? Pico Stitch, I don't personally. I just find with a lot of these pattern subscriptions, I like to know what I'm getting, and if it's a surprise, I don't usually go for it. And a lot of the garment bundles, like I've gone to Indie Sew, and they often have bundles like winter or fall or spring or whatever, but usually what happens is like there'll be like a couple patterns I like, but then 3 I don't. So that's why I don't tend to get the bundles for garment patterns, just because I find I'm too picky about it. So with garments, I just like to buy the ones that I really like. I think the exception I have is the Tilly and the Buttons book, Love It for Stitch, which I know I've recommended before, and that's a great book for beginning garment making if you are a seamstress and you want to start making your own clothes. But even with that book, I think I've only made one pattern from it. I need to make more, I know. I just haven't gotten there yet. It's a time thing, you know. Just wait, I have joined the Sew It Academy by Mimi G, and it's great with step-by-step and pattern review. Gives you a 10% discount when you are a member. Seamwork Mag is great, and you get 2 free patterns a month. I've definitely seen Seamwork, and that one seems a little more promising because I think you can pick the patterns you want, right? So it's not like a surprise, and I don't like the ones where you don't have a choice over what you're getting, where they're just giving you whatever. Like, what if I hate the pattern? I don't know. And we've got Tiffany. My sister bought Ginger scissors for $13 from Amazon. Okay, that's a really good deal. So yeah, if you have any other advice for people starting out sewing, that might not have the finances to, drop tons of cash. I mean, let's be honest, who does have tons of cash to drop on whatever they want? I know I sure don't. Okay, got a couple more comments. Okay. Lexus, the sewing community is real important for you to spend $50 a month on. Okay, the Sewing Guild. Oh no. And there is one near me, but again, I've mentioned this before. I'm not really able to commit to like monthly meetings at this point. And also I'm trying to decide where I'm allocating my sewing dollars every month, and right now that's just not a priority. I already have tons of fabric. In fact, I have too much fabric. So, next year, I'll probably be talking more about this, but I'm definitely going to be paring back on what I'm purchasing, just to, just to like get out of this whole attitude. I see a lot on YouTube of this consumption and excess. I'm getting kind of tired of it, and I'm actually really kind of running in the other direction. So you'll probably see that reflected a little bit on this channel. And Josie, okay, all right. I want to give a shout out to your son, AJ. Hello, AJ, if you're watching. I don't know how old you are, but sewing is awesome. And don't think it's just for girls, because it's definitely not. So if you like to sew and you want to make your own stuff, I would definitely go that route. Also, when you're older, I think the ladies would really appreciate you having the skill of sewing. My husband sews as well. And he's a very... he's very secure in his masculinity. He just likes making stuff, and he enjoys it. So, that's the other thing. You know, like I posted a picture earlier in the week of a still of The Big Bang Theory. They had Raj on the show sewing, which was amazing. I was just so excited to see a main character on a really popular TV show sewing. And I know people are like, oh, he was sewing the onesie on wrong. But you know what, people, let's get over it, because when's the last time you saw a guy sewing on national television that was watched by millions of people? So I think the more of that we see on TV and movies and pop culture, maybe we're going to start to get somewhere. All right, Keaton Quilts is here. All right, we've had four guys watching this hour. I think my eyes are going to bug out. That's pretty cool. Keaton Quilts, welcome. And you even have a really cute emoji. Aww. Keaton Quilts is a friend of mine, and he makes the most beautiful quilts, and he has a really cute dog. So I'm a little bit jealous. But this has been a really good conversation this hour. And I think it was important to talk about, just because we see so many people on Instagram and on social media and on Pinterest just, you know, showing their huge fabric stashes and showing all of their expensive sewing goodies and sewing machines. And I think to someone who's very much on a budget, I do think that can feel very discouraging and kind of disappointing. So I think moving forward, I definitely want to focus more on sewing on a budget, how to do it. And you know what? I'm really only going to be able to do that by practicing it. So I'm definitely going to be practicing more thrifty ways of sewing. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you are also on a budget and you're trying to figure out how you can still pursue your hobby of sewing and your passion for sewing without spending too much money, that's definitely going to be something I'm going to be focusing on in 2018. So please stay with me. All right. Oh, and Keaton, he got a little dog emoji, and I hope Diane Keaton is watching. Yeah, Keaton Quilts has a dog named Diane Keaton, which might be the most awesome name for a dog ever. I don't know. And we've got Josie. He's 5. Oh, his sister Sydney is 3. Oh, that's so cute. All right. Well, AJ, I hope you're having a good Sunday. I don't know what 5-year-old boys are into now. Are they still into Legos and stuff? I don't know. Minecraft. That's all I know about, like, little boys. Sandra's so over it is awesome because the PDF fee gives you a pattern in return, and it is a one-time fee. After that, you receive 10% off on every monthly new pattern, but you can only buy it. You only buy it if you want to. Okay, that's good. We've got Mikhail back. Copy your own clothing instead of using commercial patterns. Mikhail, I'm not very good at, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not very good at copying. I've tried, like, doing a couple t-shirts and stuff. Worked out okay. I'm one of those people that like patterns. I like, I don't know, like, I'm good at kind of making a pattern my own. I've drafted a few things myself. Some of them worked out okay, some of them not so well. So I do think it depends on where your talent and skill lies. Because definitely copying your own clothing and drafting your own patterns can be a little daunting for people. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me. And yes, if you haven't taken the poll question, definitely do so. But yeah, and if you are looking for some holiday sewing projects, like I know in a previous episode we talked about some holiday DIYs you could do as gifts, definitely check out, and I'm going to give her one more plug, you definitely need to check out the So Sweetness Minikins patterns because they're super cute, they look really easy, and if you buy them now, it's $80 for a bundle of 12 patterns, and you get all the video classes. So you get 12 patterns and you get 12 video classes. So I've linked it below if you're interested in checking it out. It looks awesome, and I'm very, very, I don't know if I'm going to end up buying this, but I'm very tempted to. And I know a lot of people are asking, are these going to be available as standalone patterns? And right now, So Sweetness says no. So if you are looking for these, don't wait for her to break out the patterns as individuals, because I think she's only selling them as a bundle. So, okay, we got a couple more comments. Josie, the quilt I'm making is for him. Okay, for AJ, and he helped me pick out the fabric. I'm encouraging both of them to share their style and opinions with me so we can create something we can both enjoy. That's really cool. So sort of like you're giving them the input and then of course you're doing the actual work. Hopefully maybe he's helping you along the way or getting you snacks or something. I don't know. Bridget, hi Jennifer. I don't know if anyone has mentioned yet. Crafts has some. Oh yes, are you talking about Craftsy? Yeah, it has some good fabric, pre-cuts, fat quarters, layer cakes, jelly rolls, and 5-inch squares, and Aurifil thread at bargain prices. Bridget, I'm a huge fan of Craftsy myself. And if you are interested, I've got the Craftsy website linked below in the description box. I do get a lot of quilting fabric there, although I've noticed recently they used to sell a lot of garment fabric and they seem to be getting away from that. I've also noticed Craftsy seems to be getting away from selling, they used to sell kits where you could get a pattern and fabric for clothing, and they seem to have done away with the garments, leaving only the quilting and the like bags. So if that's the case, that makes me a little bit sad because I thought their kits were a really great deal for, they would sell dress kits, they would sell shirts, skirts, all this other stuff. And I thought the prices were amazing, but it does seem like those are not there anymore, which makes me a little bit sad. We got Pencils and Pancakes. The Japanese sewing books by Yoshiko Tsukiori are around $15 and come with 26 patterns and a little extra little craft tutorials like knitting patterns. Not sure if that's been mentioned. That sounds awesome. That sounds really cool. And what kind of patterns are they? Are they like little accessories or like bags? That sounds really neat. And Keaton Quilts, it's always good to support local quilt shops too. Yes, and Keaton Quilts, if you are in the New York City area, he frequents Gotham Quilts, so definitely check out them. They just moved into a new storefront. It looks awesome. I've talked to the owner, Ivy, a bit, and she seems like a really wonderful, wonderful person, and they seem very interested in helping new quilters. So definitely, if you are in the New York City area, or if you are traveling there, definitely put that on your list of places to go. So I think that would be awesome. I'm trying to think. Also, I've seen, if you're in Missouri, obviously Missouri Star Quilt Company. I need to go there sometime. That place is like taking over the world, and that's pretty awesome. And also, the Crafty Gemini, another YouTuber, has opened up her own sewing business, I believe in Gainesville, Florida, called the Sewing Coop. So there's a lot more, a lot of these, social media celebrity types are opening up their own brick and mortar stores, which is very cool. But yeah, so I think that's one, again, I do think there needs to be more of us focusing on outreach. And I've actually thought about doing like maybe, I don't know if I'm good enough to teach sewing, but I was thinking about even trying to reach out to people in my community and showing them the basics on using a sewing machine. Like I could handle something like that where it wasn't like super technical. Although I'll admit I'm probably not the best at like figuring out sewing machine problems. But of course I could show them the basics about how to use one. The only thing I wonder about, and maybe if you do this yourself, like if you offer sewing classes or, lessons, what do you do about the liability? I think that's one thing that like kind of worries me, especially if you were trying to teach children. Obviously, that can get into a bit of a sticky situation. Anything with kids or underage people, you do need to be careful just about the potential risk and liability. You never know what's going to happen. And that sounds very unglamorous, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately. So if you do teach children, or if you offer like lessons in your house or at the community center, and you live in the United States, obviously there are different laws. How do you kind of get into that and also cover yourself legally for any potential situations? Obviously, I think teaching adults would be like less risky. So I think if I do this, it'd be more for like someone that was between like 18 and 24, 18 and 30, just because at least then they're legal adults. I think the other thing I would worry about is obviously since they're working with a sewing machine, which can cause injury. Again, I think that's where, I kind of just wonder, like, for someone that does that professionally, how do you cover yourself legally and financially, just in case of different scenarios. So that's something I'm kind of curious about. If you have experience with that, let me know what you did to prepare for all that and to set up that sort of model. Because I think more of us could do something like that, even though you might not think of yourself as a teacher. Like if a friend came over, I could certainly show her how to use a sewing machine. And that's something that I could do, but, like, I would more be doing that for fun and not really as a business, just more to get other people into sewing. All right, we got a couple more comments. Joss Wade, these are the overlapped patterns, so beware that these books are harder to trace for new sewers, but great books. Pencils and Pancakes, they're actually all garments. Stylish Dress Book is the most popular. They are written quite different from traditional English language patterns. Okay, that kind of scares me a little bit. Like, how is it? Okay, it's a diagram layout and you have to trace. That sounds really I don't know. And I'm not Japanese, but man, that sounds, I don't know, that sounds interesting. Pico Stitch, I wish there was a more popular tag for Instagram highlighting thrifty budget sewing projects. You know what? Why don't we start one? Like, I don't know, like, well, all right, what are some possible hashtags we could use for, like, I mean, we could do sewing on a, like, one I could think of is sewing on a budget. I don't know, like, cheap sewing, cheap seamstress. I don't know. If you guys have any good ideas, I think that's a great suggestion from Pico Stitch. To kind of maybe show our, like, sewing hacks to make a project, you know, kind of like our sewing secrets at saving money or making a project more cost effective. I think that's a really good idea. All right, Pico Stitch, I think that's genius. I don't know, like, I think when I did this today, I did sewing on a budget as a hashtag, and there were quite a few, there did seem to be quite a few people. Okay, oh, there was 44 public posts. Okay. Thrifty Make. Okay, I like that. All right, let's get a couple suggestions and maybe we can pick the one. How about we pick the one we like the best? How about that? So I use sewing on a budget, but it's not well lived. Let's see here. All right, yeah. If you guys have any other suggestions, I like this idea. All right. Let's see if anyone's used Thrifty Make before. All right, there's 18 public posts, so not a ton. I think we need something so cheap. Oh, I like that. Okay, Linda, I'm sort of liking that one. So let's, instead of getting let's get a few suggestions and then we'll just, right here, right now, we will decide on the hashtag we'll use moving forward. I sort of like So Cheap. I think that's a good one. And that one, okay, that one has 62 public posts. Okay, and actually the people that are posting on the So Cheap hashtag, they definitely, it definitely seems to be in the vein of what we are looking for. I don't know, do you guys, I like So Cheap. I don't know, do you guys want to go with So Cheap? We'll start, you know, I'll start using it today. All right, I like Thrifty Make and So Cheap. Okay, so we like, all right, so let's take sort of an informal poll right now. Okay, I don't know, I'm kind of, I like So Cheap, and I think it's pretty easy. I think it's pretty easy to remember and easy to explain. Okay, Linda said it first. Oh yeah. All right, I like So Cheap. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of going to that. Although I did find a hashtag called So Cheap Retreat, and then I found this really cool picture of a quilt, so I got a little distracted. You know what? I think we all seem to be into this So Cheap hashtag. So yeah, that can be our way of signaling to each other on Instagram that we have found some sort of method. So also you can share, maybe we can share really good sales we find, or, you know, just really good tips or advice. Yeah, all right, let's do it. Let's do So Cheap. All right, so from here on out, and in fact, you know what, Linda, I think that's what I'll call my series here on Sewing Report. I'll use hashtag So Cheap for all the budget sewing stuff. I think that's really cool. Linda, thank you so much for the awesome suggestion. All right, let's do So Cheap. Okay, so, all right, Sewing Report Squad, and also you're welcome to use the hashtag Sewing Report Squad as well. In the future, I'm really hoping to get more of an active interaction here on the show and share your photos. So if you'd also like to use Sewing Report Squad, might share some of your photos in a show. And by you using that hashtag, you're basically telling me it's cool to use. Okay, sorry, I think my husband's downstairs doing something kind of loud. All right, and Champagne Twist says, how about So Thrifty? I don't know, I kind of like So Cheap. I don't know, I think it's easy to remember, and it's not, you know, So cheap. I sort of like that. And basically, it can be anything that we're sharing that saves us money, or that saved you money, or, you know, helps other people save money. Whether it's a really awesome sewing machine you have that's $50, whether it's a fabric you got for $1 a yard, or even a really good deal like that, like Pencils and Pancakes was saying, she has a book with 26 patterns in it. That's a lot of patterns. So I don't know. I'm kind of digging So Cheap. All right, let's use it. And because in 2018, I do want to do some videos about just making things a little more accessible and budget friendly. I like the name So Cheap for the series. I think that's a good one. So, Linda, thank you very much for the suggestion. We're going ahead with it. I think we're full steam ahead for So Cheap. And you know what we can do? Like, maybe in a future, because I want to do more shows about saving money. Obviously, that's something that seems very important to all of you guys. So maybe, like, if I get some good So Cheap posts, I can share them on another show during a segment. We can have a time of the show where we just share our So Cheap secrets, you know, So Cheap posts of the week, or something like that, and just share maybe some of my favorites throughout the week. So I think that sounds like a really solid plan. And hopefully we can kind of all help each other to, you know, stay accountable for the money stuff, and also to do this. You know what, Tiffany? If you're not on social media, that's why I think I want to share these on the show too. So for the people who don't really do Instagram, if you come back to the show, we can share some of the highlights here on YouTube. So if you're not on Instagram, don't worry, because I think that's a really great way to, you know, keep us all in the loop, and also to share maybe the best of on Instagram. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I like that idea a lot. I think that's a good way for us to stay connected and to help each other save money and to sew on a budget, because I think, you know, that seems to be a struggle and a real challenge for people, and I want to address that and hopefully try to make it easier for people who are trying to get into sewing. And Angel Lover, you know what? Actually, let me see if I can get this out. A while back, I did a show dedicated to my thoughts on spoonflower fabric. So I actually did buy like the spoonflower sample book. And then if you want to check out that previous show, a lot of people left really good comments on what they thought about the spoonflower fabric. I ordered the sample book. It was $3. I have personally not had a reason myself to order spoonflower fabric. I think it's really good if you need like super custom stuff. But I personally just don't have that need. So that's why I haven't really bought spoonflower fabric. But there is a past live show. If you search for like Sewing Report Spoonflower, it should pop up. And I did a whole show just about why I haven't, kind of explaining why I haven't bought spoonflower fabric before. And also I got a lot of people weighing in on, you know, their own experiences with spoonflower, and, you know, just basically what they thought of it. Is So Cheap an online store? You know, I don't know. We could see. All right, let's do some Googling. You know what? There's really not. I'm not really seeing like a website or anything. There's a couple blogs like imsocheap.blogspot.com. This is an interesting blog post from like 3 years ago about how to get fabric for free or cheap. Let's see here. Somebody named Sewn by Elizabeth did a couple So Cheap posts. So that looks sort of cool. Oh, and you know what? I do want to share this. A while ago, someone commented on a video about, I think it was about buying fabric, and so this lady, I'm trying to remember what her username was, but it was on a previous show, and she had a really interesting way of getting fabric. So this lady had made a lot of theatrical costumes, and she actually went to hotels and got old sheets from them. So basically the way she explained it is she was making a lot of like Pirates of the Caribbean type stuff. So she was making like sails for ships, and then like those, you know, men's shirts. So she went to a hotel and got all of their sheets. And basically the way she explained it was hotels have a pretty short lifespan for how long they use their sheets. So when you get the sheets, they're actually in pretty good condition. I don't even think she had to pay for them. I think they just gave them to her because they would have thrown them out anyways. But she said they use such heavy detergent that she wasn't really concerned about like the sanitation or the cleanliness. She said it was fine. And she used those sheets for all the costumes in the production. So I think that was a super creative way to get free fabric. Lots and lots of free fabric. Saved a lot of money on all of those costumes and on all those set pieces. And, you know, she said, you know, and again, she was also, in a way, you're also helping out the environment, because if the hotel had not given those sheets to her, they would have literally just thrown them away and just tossed them, and then they would have been in a landfill somewhere. So I think by doing that, like, I thought that was really creative. I don't know if other hotel chains do that, but you could definitely check. Actually, I wonder if I could maybe for a video, I could look into it and see if I could get a hotel to give me their old sheets. I don't know what I would do with them after that. Make a lot of togas or something, but this lady said she had done that successfully with, you know, I forgot which hotel chain, but it was on and I can't remember which show, but it was on a previous show. She left some very detailed comments on doing that. And I just thought that was super creative and also, again, very, very practical. And everybody wins. You know, the hotel doesn't throw out all those sheets, and then she got free material for what she needed. Got a comment from Josie. I love this idea too because we're on a budget. So yeah, all right. So cheap is going to be our name for it. And I've even got a couple tags like my cheap pattern weights. I can even put the so cheap hashtag on that afterward the fact. Amber, I personally wonder how small businesses can make money using spoon flour for products they sell. I do too, unless you design the fabric yourself. Like I do have a friend, Dina from Hearts and Sharts, who designs fabric. Her designs are super cute and super like quirky. And she actually uses spoon flour, but only because it's stuff she designed. You know, again, yeah, I don't know, Amber. Like, I think unless you're the designer, I don't know if it would make sense. I don't know, like, unless you needed something super specific design-wise. But when I'm typically looking for a fabric, I have, like, something in my mind ballpark, or it's a designer's fabric I like that's more of a mainstream fabric, you know, like a Hoffman Fabrics print or like a cotton and steel print. So I just haven't had the need for spoon flour. And Amber says, I see a lot of Etsy shops using spoon flour fabrics. All right. Oh, Angel Lover, there was a store near me called Solo. Okay. I wonder what and Bridget says, check Las Vegas hotels. You know they use a lot of sheets. But yeah, I don't know what I'm kind of curious. I kind of just want to call up a hotel and ask about it. And just say, hey, maybe I'm like doing a video or a live show about it and just maybe see what they say. Maybe I'll check a few hotel chains and see. But if you can do that, those sheets would be great for muslins. They would be great for like little projects. Like if you're making like a teepee or if you're making certain projects, you could also dye the fabric too. You know, most of the sheets hotels use are white. But yeah, definitely check out, and I wish I could remember which show it was, but this lady had some just great comments on it. Oh, you know what? I think it was the show I did. I think it was the video about the Target sheets. So I believe it was the one where, with the thumb. So if you do sewing, if you search for Sewing Report Target sheets or like bed sheets, I believe it was that video that she had shared her information about the hotels. I thought that was really smart. And I'm kind of curious about it. But, you know, just think if you had all these free sheets, think about what you could make. And also you would literally never have to buy muslin fabric ever again if you've got the space for it. And I also thought it was really interesting that she's like, look, don't worry about the cleanliness. The detergents they use in these sheets are so strong. You know, they'll be okay. And, you know, I trust that. I think that would be fine. And, you know, like hotels, definitely, since they get so many people going through and sleeping in those beds, obviously they want to be careful about the sanitation as well. So, you know, they probably wash the sheets in like boiling water. So pretty much anything that is in the sheets is probably washed away. So I think it's probably good. Oh, we've got Vic here. Vic, welcome. Don't worry, it's not too late. We're just chatting, and you're welcome to catch up on the replay if you're just tuning in. But yeah, if anyone else has some out-of-the-box ideas for how you've gotten fabric, notions, another thing I've done is, take notions off of things you get at Goodwill or things you have in your closet. Like if you have a shirt with cute buttons, but the shirt's totally shot, save the buttons, save bag hardware. A lot of people do that, but again, I think this hashtag, I know this hashtags thing just sort of came up in this show, but I think that's awesome, and I think that's what happens when you get a lot of people converging and just coming together creatively and collectively. So let's do this. And for Tiffany, who's not on Instagram, don't worry, because I think so throughout the week, okay, so I think here's what we'll do. So on Saturdays, as I'm kind of, I actually prepare for the show a day ahead. I know. It seems on the fly, but it's not. I think the day before, I'll go through the hashtag and see if there's any cool photos, and then we'll share them, and if there's any good tips. So I think that's a good way, and I think hopefully we can help some new sewing enthusiasts. If you're out there and you are on a budget, you don't have a ton of cash to sew, don't worry, your sewing sisters have your backs, and we're going to try to share and help you if you want to sew on a budget or sew cheap, because we are so cheap. And I think that's something that we don't promote enough in, especially the blogosphere or on YouTube, especially when you see all these YouTubers like, I went shopping for the 80th time this week. It's like, who does that in real life? Like, I know you have a Forever 21 haul every 5 minutes, but not everybody goes shopping, not everybody goes shopping and goes to the mall twice a week or 3 times a week. Linda put an ad on Craigslist, wanted free, asking for fabric scraps or leftover sheets, fabric. That's awesome. I got enough for a quilt once that way. That's a really good point. Or if you have like my neighborhood has a community Facebook page. So if you do have your own community Facebook pages, definitely say, hey, if you've got free scrap fabric, I'm looking for this type. And you know what? You're not only are you'll find people willing to help you, but you're kind of helping them by decluttering their home. Yes, I think Linda, you are the genius of the week here on Sewing Report. So Linda, I want to know, are you on Instagram, Linda? Because if you are, I'm going to follow you. Because you're obviously you're like sewing Yoda, I think. Yeah, you're like the Yoda here. You're like the wise one that has all the ideas, I think. Bridget, my husband went to the Goodwill store and found brand new fabric rolls wrap. Wow. Now, did you give him the biggest kiss ever for that? And the fact, did he actually bring you the fabric home? If he did, I think he deserves at least a very nice kiss and a nice dinner, I think. And maybe he gets to watch the football game in peace or whatever he likes to do. So that's awesome. Okay, Barbara, the Last Stitch YouTuber. Yes, I know the Last Stitch did a spot on spoonflower fabric she designed. And that's the thing, I think if you are a fabric designer, obviously you want to work with your own designs. But again, I think it depends on what you're looking for and, what your budget is. Because I noticed the price of some of the spoonflower substrates is not cheap at all. Oh, Barbara, check out the Nextdoor app. Barbara, I'm on that all the time. Okay, Linda, no, not on Instagram. I'm a dinosaur. Linda, you're not a dinosaur. You are our sewing Yoda. So please come back. Please come back. Amber, also look to see if there's a buy nothing group local to you on Facebook. One of my neighbors gave me some patterns she didn't have use for it. Wow, score, Amber. And Jess Wade says, Linda, get an Instagram. We need to follow. Yes, Linda, if you do change your mind, let us know what your handle is so we can follow you and see all your sewing tips, because obviously you're you're like a sewing ninja, sewing Yoda. I don't know. You're not a dinosaur though, because you're on YouTube right now, so you're obviously at least with it to do that. My Adventures, I like your show. I love to sew, machine, embroider, and quilt. My Adventures, that's awesome. I like to do all those things as well, although I currently don't really have an embroider machine, but maybe someday. If I wasn't so cheap and had more money. So we'll see. Maybe someday. But, and that's the thing, as time goes by, I want to spend less money and save more money for my bank account, so I can be prepared for the future, because, I know when I'm 60, Social Security is not going to be around. So, Barbara says, the last stitch designed her fabric for activewear for herself and her daughter. Oh, that's neat. And that's the thing, I'm not like a fabric designer at all, so like, believe me, you're not gonna see any sewing report designs or like sewing report patterns. I mean, never say never, but I don't really think that's where my endeavors lie. It's more for like, you know, just talking randomly on YouTube like right now. Vic, my husband's family are amazing at using old clothes for quilts. I have a quilt here made for my father-in-law's DO uniforms. He worked at a Canada Post and his shirts were blue striped. That sounds really neat. Bridget, he sews too. Wow, okay, you've got a keeper there. He used it to make boot sets. Sorry, no pics. Don't apologize. That's pretty awesome. He sounds really nice. Oh, and the fabric was fleece and some high quality fabric. So yeah, so obviously I need to hit up my Goodwill more and thrift stores. I also haven't been to a garage sale in many years, and I need to change that. You know, hopefully and I know there's never enough time. That's the thing. There is never enough time to do everything I want to accomplish. But anyways, guys, I think I might wrap up the show pretty soon. But if you are, again, don't be shy. Even if you're watching on the replay, leave some comments. Also, if you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up so that, you know, YouTube knows you like it. And maybe we can get some more folks over here in our conversation every week. And if you enjoy these types of shows, if you want to talk sewing, definitely subscribe to the Sewing Report. I do this every week on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Unless, like, you know, something happens to me. If I'm not here 1 week, you know something's gone terribly wrong. Just know that right now. Not to end on a dim note, though. But this has been a lot of fun. And, yeah, so let's start using the hashtags. Sorry. Let's start using the hashtag so cheap. Wow, I don't know if this is gonna... My Instagram handle, if this ever does not reflect weirdly, is at Sewing Report. And we're going to use the hashtag so cheap to help each other save money, sew more on a budget, and share any sort of tricks. I also am very curious. I kind of want to call a hotel and see if they'll give me used sheets. If I'm successful, I think that might need to be a future vlog if I don't get, like, kicked off the property. Like, I'd have to only film, like, outside or something and not, like, show any of it. But I'm going to see if they would actually give me their old sheets. So anyways, guys, I will see you next week. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm going to try to do the, alright, we're going to try, sorry, this software I'm using is, like, just totally funky. And Tiffany, I totally want to paint some denim fabric that I have for cute skirt. That sounds awesome. I think you should do it. Alright, so, alright, we're going to try to end the show soon. If I can get this going. I don't know if I can. So yeah, I usually have like a, you know, pre-planned, like, intro and outro. I don't know if it's gonna work because this software I'm using, like, just keeps freezing and it's, like, not cooperating very well. But we're gonna give it a try. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this very random show. It's been a lot of fun. And honestly, I don't even know if I can exit the show because, yeah, this does not seem to be letting me. So I might have to be live for a while until I can figure this out. We don't know.